Hello! Today I'm going to make two tiny silhouette pictures. And I have several sizes here, but I always print out extra sizes. I'll use them eventually for something else. And this is actually a seal for sealing letters, but I'm going to use it just as a frame with some hot glue. And I have some waste plastic here that I'm going to use as a base. And what I'm going to do is just draw around the edges of it so I know where to put the hot glue. The hot glue gun that I'm using doesn't get extremely hot, so it won't melt the plastic. Some people have glue guns that are way too hot for this sort of application, and that's not what's going to happen here. I don't use those really hot glue guns. Well, I do have one, but I hardly ever use it, let's put it that way. When I was a little girl, my mother had my silhouette done along with my older brother. Not the oldest brother, there were three of us. The oldest brother didn't want to do it. He was quite a bit older than the middle brother and I. And this reminded me of my childhood so much, these two little silhouettes that I found online. And they're from the 1930s as well. My house will be a 1930s house. So what I'm going to do here is just put on enough glue to accommodate the frame and just press it down pretty firmly. And this will cool pretty quickly. I'll leave a link in the below so that you can, if you want to find one of these on Amazon, it would make it easy if it's of any use for you. And this, as I said, it doesn't take very long for it to cool down enough to pull the seal away. And there it is. I'll have to do more work on it, of course. I'll have to trim it. And now I'll go to the second one. And you won't see those lines from the marker when it's done. And I will be cutting the center of it out. And as I said, trimming the edges. It's a cute little frame. First couple I made, I didn't put enough glue on. And it didn't work very well, but I practiced a little bit, and I finally got to the point where I could do it. You do have to apply a bit of pressure if you want the mold to work properly. Yeah. Those pictures that you see under there, I'm not real concerned about whether they get torn or ink on them or paint. They turned out to be too small for what I was going to use them for, but the silhouettes turned out fine, so I'm not worried about what happens to the other pictures. I made a mistake in the sizes, so that's why I'm not pushing them out of the way. The lampshades. The two on the top I think I might be able to use. And I'm just going to cut around. I'll have to do quite a bit of trimming on these. This is probably the hardest thing to do because the glue gets pretty tough and it's kind of hard to cut through it. I'm using very small scissors. And they're probably not as sharp as they should be. I've had these for quite a while. That was a bit of a tough part there. And I will have to cut the inside out with a knife, X-Acto knife, and trim it. And I'm not going to leave this clear. You could paint it with acrylic paint. I'm going to use one of those chrome markers and make a gold frame. But it does take a while for the marker to dry. It doesn't dry readily on this plastic, so just to let you know, you may have to wait a while for it to dry before you can handle it. And I put about 2 or 3 coats of the marker over this plastic. And there's the knife that I'm going to use. Actually, I changed my mind. I'm not going to cut it out first. I'm going to put the marker on it. Then I'll be able to see really where I need to cut. And I bought this chrome marker on Amazon as well. Out where I live, it's just easier to buy from Amazon. I don't really live near any stores. The closest grocery store is almost 20 miles away from me. And we don't have department stores and that kind of thing out where I live. So I'm just going to go around and put a generous amount on. I'm not going to use the scissors. I was going to try to cut through the middle of it and use the scissors, but it doesn't work out as well as the X-Acto knife. Or at least for me it didn't, so I'm just going to cut the other one out. This is just plastic from something that I bought that was covering it. I think there was glue or something, and I was able to save the plastic. I save all this clear plastic for projects, so it comes in handy for stuff like this. This one is a really tough one. It's very hard, and the glue went out over the edges quite a bit. And as I said, when I was young, my brother and I had our silhouettes done, and they were facing each other, and my mother had put them in gold frames. So this is what I'm imitating. That was done probably in 1959, and I was 4, and my brother was 6, or almost 6. And yes, I remember it very well. It was an unusual experience to have somebody come to our home, and she was some kind of a old-fashioned lady. She looked really old to me then, but I don't know how old she might have been, in her 50s then. She could have been older. Okay, now I'm just going to cut through this. This is very difficult, so when you do it, you'll have to, if you do this, you have to be pretty careful with a knife and make sure that you don't slip and cut yourself. As I've said before, I have a method for doing this where I've learned to press down very hard for stabilization and I move very slowly on it. And if I have to go over it a couple of times, that's fine, I'll do that. I just do it patiently. And that didn't quite come out, so it'll have to be done a little bit more from the back. And I'll just see where it needs to be cut again from the back this time. And it looks like I've got to run it all the way through again. And especially the corners have to be cut. So I'm just going to press hard in those corners as I move it around very slowly. All right, that came out pretty well. I'm just going to trim it up a little bit. And that one is done, almost. Just going to trim off little bits on the edges that didn't quite get trimmed. And around the edge on the sides. And it's flexible, but it has enough relief on it that it really does look pretty convincing for a very tiny frame. I wish I had those silhouettes. I don't know whatever happened to them. We moved when I was 16 from the house that I originally grew up in. My dad built the house, and he had some serious health problems. He was wounded in World War II very seriously. He was in the Battle of the Bulge, and he never quite got over his wounds. When I was 16, he had a stroke, and so we moved so that we could move to a place that was easier to take care of. And we had some kind of a sale, and a lot of stuff disappeared. So I don't know if they disappeared during the sale or if we just lost them in moving, those little silhouettes, but they're gone. Years ago, they disappeared, but I still remember them. Now, this is going to be under or over, rather, the images, so it looks like it has glass in it. Just another piece of waste plastic. And I'm just going to get the proper size, and then I will glue them with super glue, gel super glue, on the backs. First, I want to make sure I have this trimmed up properly. I do want to do a proper job on this. And I did get some of that marker on the plastic by accident, so I have to cut another piece. And I'm just going to dot some gel super glue along it on the back carefully so it doesn't spill over onto the plastic. So that it ruins the picture. And I'm just pressing the plastic on it. And I'll do the next one the same way. Piece of waste plastic and super glue. I'm just cutting it out now. Okay. I really like the gel super glue that holds. Where you put it, it stays in place, and I really like that about the super glue, that doesn't run all over. Some of them are kind of runny, so I'm just going to place it in there. If I do get a little something on it, some of it can be scraped off, so I'm trying to be careful. But now what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to age the paper a little bit because it's so white, and I want to sort of yellow it. So I'm going to get some acrylic paint. I haven't cleaned my palette. It's very easy to clean acrylic paint off these palettes, so you just have to scrape the paint off, but I don't need to do it quite yet. I have some yellow ochre, and I also have some clear gloss gel that I put in it to thin it out, to make it very, very thin. That's golden. Let's see if we can get the label in so you can see it. Acrylic liquid glazing compound, so let's just see. Normally I would spray these with varnish, or matte varnish first, but I'm going to just go very quickly. If it runs a little bit, I really don't care. It'll make it look a little better, I think. So I'll just do it very quickly. There, I didn't have any problem with that. But if you want to be careful with things that come out of the printer, just give them a spray with some fixative. You could even use hairspray. Okay, I glued the first frame on for the little boy. And now I'm going to glue it right onto the paper for the little girl and adjust it. The heads aren't quite the same size. The little boy's is just a little bit bigger, but I left it that way because my brother was almost 2 years older than me when we had ours done, and he was bigger. So I wanted to kind of mimic that for nostalgic reasons. Okay. And when that's dry, I'm just going to cut the paper around it. There we go. There's the super glue. Now it's dry, and I'll just go and right below where the frame is and back of it, I'll cut away the paper so the paper doesn't show. This is so easy to do. It's one of those little things that you can do that is very satisfying because it's pretty fast and can be very, very, very nice for a dollhouse. Yeah. Okay, there it is. I'm going to clean the frame up a little bit. The glass, well, it's supposed to be the glass part with plastic when I'm all done. And touch up around if there needs to be any touching up on the gold. There they are. They're finished. I haven't touched them up yet, but I will. See if I can get them in focus. There's a little bit of sticky stuff on the outside, but that will come off. I thought they came out very cute. Very easy. And there they are, against some dollhouse wallpaper that I put together recently. Well, thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe. It sure helps me out. Bye-bye.